with clever meme, with funny tweet, I'll never leave my office seat. Those who think they know what's right, listen on Sundays to NetHeads, all right?
He's got to throw some cold water on the situation. Start talking about nerd stuff.
You know, nerd culture is mainstream now. So when you use the word nerd derogatorily, it means you're the one that's out of the zeitgeist.
System activate.
This is NetHeads with Will Wilkins and Trent Hunsaker. It's a tech podcast. But we are a ton cooler than your typical geek, giving you the info you need to achieve mega nerd status. NetHeads.
You guys rock.
And now, here's Will and Trent.
Yeah, here's Will and Trent.
You know it.
Coming at you live on a Sunday or on delay in your ear.
Yeah. Is it Monday yet? It's probably Monday already in Australia.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. It's
If
probably
not-
like work day time already.
Yeah, unless it's another one of their national holidays or something. I don't know how many they have.
I don't think their holidays affect the days in the week.
No, I understand that. I'm not saying that they somehow can mystically and magically delay Monday.
Right. Well,
not
I don't
what
know. If anyone could do it, it would probably be Australia.
They'd come up with a way. I think
Yeah,
so.
for sure,
In a pleasurable way. Anyway, hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of NetHeads. My name is Will.
And I'm the Trent.
And you're listening to us many different magical ways, but most importantly, through a wonderful website that is nice enough to put us through. And what is that one, Trent?
Folks, it is modcast.com.
That's right. If you want to take part in the program while we are live or even after the fact, many different ways. One of them, Twitter. Trent, how do they do that?
Oh my gosh, you can be like Jez, or you can be like ZDigital13. That's at Superbongman is his. But yes, use the hashtag NetHeads.
Yeah, it's just that easy.
Yeah.
And if you want to actually interact with us in an audio fashion, then yeah, I didn't say oral, I said audio.
Oh, well, I guess that's different.
A little bit. You can use one of many different ways. Easiest via Skype. NetHeads on air. That's it.
Yeah.
All the other ones, if you're looking at the video feed. By the way, if you want to take part in the program live, when we say we're going to be live, we've gone ahead and made it as easy as I possibly can. Just go to netheadsonair.com/live. There you can choose between video or audio.
Or audio.
And during the week, let's say you're lazy and you're like, Will, I know I may have subscribed to the NetHeads on Air channel on YouTube, but I'm too lazy to actually go looking for this week's video. Fastest and easiest way to find it there, more than likely, until the following Sunday when I replace the embed code, would be at live as well, ironically. When we're the least live possible, you can
That's
find
where to find us live. Absolutely.
Makes sense. Makes perfect sense to me, Trent.
Of course.
I see no problems with this at all.
No, of course not.
So anyway, that's a little bit of business. Boy, Trent, I did not realize that a tech podcast like us would have commentary last week on what became there's no other way to put it. And by the way, yes, folks, we've listened loud and clear. Trent, I've had one person tell us they can't agree with us, which is fine.
That's fine. I'm okay. You know what? Here's the thing. I encourage people to own your own opinions, but just know why you own them.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Like what you like, but know why you like it.
Fair enough. I completely agree with you on that. So last week we were talking about the seeming stupidity that was going on with the Trump campaign, with his going after a Gold Star family, and that led us into some interesting rhetoric about Trump. And then somehow during this past week, Trump actually went ahead and made it an even more interesting rhetorical week, if you will. Trent, as your First of all, for those that don't know, Trent fills his work days in a completely non-related and in no way, shape, or form adhering to the views or opinions voiced on NetHeads. But Trent does have a position that could be considered in academia in Utah, which is an interesting state to be in, I think.
Oh, yeah.
So my question for you, Trent, is without going into the details of everything that went on, because I've even got a counterpoint on this.
Okay.
Because from my take, this was press-wise, it was a horrible week for Trump. And the other thing about it, though, is I find it very interesting that the last couple of days, Thursday and Friday, when things were going what I would consider very newsworthy well for him, the press seemed to point out every single foible, but there were very few stories about the fact that, hey, Trump has been done pretty good the last couple days.
Yeah.
Which happened near the end of the week.
It's so funny. Like, he didn't say anything extremely offensive this well. I mean, he had, but it wasn't, he didn't attack anyone's personality or their character of being. And it's just, I mean, Romney had like 2 kind of gaffes, and they were just gaffes. It wasn't like personally attacking people.
Yeah.
And he was screwed.
I think for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, welcome from the coma. It's nice to have you back. But everyone else, I thought the news was just amazing to see how it kind of unraveled during the week, because what we had, this is actually, looking back on it, this is going to be a very interesting and probably often documented about case of the presidential election and how social opinion can sway a campaign.
Yes.
And also probably in the way that you can and cannot carry yourself if you're going to be running for the president of the United States, because we saw a week that started very much with Trump being Trump. And then it's like somewhere around Wednesday, somebody took away his phone, and down to the point where finally he's rolling back and endorsing Paul Ryan. But
did he really?
He did. And boy, Trent,
wow.
I haven't seen anything, but from what I'm read, he was literally reading from cue cards like note cards in his hand. Huh. In those specifically targeted words for backing the campaigns of Paul Ryan, John McCain, and one other person.
Weird.
Yeah, I mean, like actual 3x5 cards.
Yeah, coming from someone who's making fun of politicians who use prompters.
Yeah, definitely. But there's one of those. I mean, I think the campaign has been very clear that he's very free speaking in the way he conducts his rallies and his visits on the campaign.
Yeah.
But I got to give them credit because from what I take with the ego that's being dealt with here, I think that it's probably very hard to get him to do what would be something he doesn't want to do.
Correct. Yeah, he's not what you would call a team player.
Right. So I thought that him doing that on Friday was interesting. I think had he not created the gaffe by saying because really what happened was what appeared to me anyway. Earlier in the week, Donald Trump was asked about endorsing Paul Ryan. It gave him a chance to jab back at Ryan, who didn't endorse Trump's campaign early on.
Yeah.
He said at one point that he wasn't quite there yet or something along those lines. So Trump got to be petty and say the same thing because the week once again began with denouncements because of I can't believe the number of issues that we've traversed in 1 week.
Yep.
And nobody comes here to NetHeads to hear about them, but I'm just amazed at how much happened and how much it was really like the nominee was trying to tank his own campaign.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like every day I just see the news. I'm like, is this real life?
The other interesting thing is, Trent, I think it's the first time I've ever used the see real-time coverage button on Google News, and I've seen it use that kind of refresh rate.
Yeah.
One thing I can definitely tell you, though, if you're looking at the media, it's very interesting that the number of articles that come out and their orientation. Obviously, the Huffington Post is deeply against Donald Trump. Washington Post,
Yeah.
The Washington Post seems to be the same way.
Yeah.
And I think they are one of the media outlets that Trump banned from his campaign early on.
Yes. Which, if that doesn't. If that doesn't like I don't know, raise up any flags for demagoguery, I don't know what is. It's called the First Amendment.
So Trent, one of the things that we're gonna so one of the things that we're gonna have to deal with about on this show, because it's kind of hard. You don't want to join in, you don't want to pile on, and also NetHeads isn't necessarily where people come to talk about this stuff. So the question is,
like a good alternative would be Waking from the American Dream.
Yeah, there you go. But do we want, the question for us is, do we want this to be a Trump free zone?
Well, I mean, it is. Well, I mean, our intro talks about zeitgeist, you know.
Okay.
And I think you can't ignore the zeitgeist. You don't have to focus on, you know, we won't cover a whole spectrum, a broad spectrum.
Yes.
I'm not talking about like a spectrum of women who are being degraded by men in the 50s.
Holy crap! I hope not. I thought that's
like
where you were going for a
broad
second.
Spectrum with that's how, you know, Mad Men style that, you know, maybe would have said.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Well, I'll tell you what, Trent. Let's do one thing. Let's at least make this interesting.
Okay.
And a little poignant. I don't know about you. I'm a big fan of Penn Jillette.
Oh, of Penn and Teller fame.
Yes, whether it's Penn and Teller bullshit or whatever.
What's that new show he's got on the CW?
They had one basically where it was magicians trying to pull one over on.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of clips and it's fucking great, dude. It's really good.
I think one of the things I loved on an episode I just happened to watch. Okay, because they speak in terms when they're talking to the magician, when they are trying to adequately convey that they know what the magician is doing. And in one of them, he said, "I want to thank you, sir, for allowing me on national television to say that was a wonderful job fingering the gash." And it was obviously he was referring to some type of magician's trickery, but it sounded bizarre. Well, and I'm paraphrasing, so I'm more than likely getting it wrong and being a little too on the nose.
Yeah, they do stuff like that. Like there was one that I saw, and it was really cool. It was a sleight of hand trick, and they didn't explain how they did it or anything. But he basically was able to make bottles of vermouth just show up all over the table out of nowhere. Like what started out with just one, all of a sudden, you know, out of however he did it, there was like 15 bottles of vermouth on the table. And it was a name brand vermouth, but in showing that I know where you got this trick from, he goes, "Oh, that's," and then he names the magician that originally did its brand of vermouth, isn't it?
Oh, okay, cool.
Unless you were paying attention or knew that it wasn't that exact brand of vermouth, you're like, oh, okay, that's a zing to the guy trying to pull one over on him.
Yeah, exactly, and it's a great show. That's
fantastic.
And actually, the Aisha Tyler hosted. Whose Line Is It Anyway, that's on the CW as well. I gotta say, those are two of the shows that I most get upset at myself about forgetting that they exist, and then binging on a whole bunch of them.
Well, and they're also the non-typical programs for the CW. That is outside of their target market.
Oh yeah, definitely. But they're still great and enjoyable programs. Now,
for sure.
All that said, wanted to give basically one last person our comment on Trump for the week.
Yes, the well-spoken Penn Jillette.
Yes, on his take on what it was like to work with Donald Trump.
Donald Trump will say that his show, Celebrity Apprentice, helped my career tremendously. He is 100% right. He made me look great, and I loved working with him. And I'm very grateful for being on the show with him. You can be very grateful to someone and not want them to be president. Of all the people who worked on Celebrity Apprentice with Donald Trump, I believe I liked him the most of anybody that was on. I mean, everybody else had horrible things to say about him, and I kind of enjoyed him. I thought that within the framework of a reality television program being capricious, volatile, unpredictable, illogical, are all really good qualities. Having no filter is a really good quality. But I don't think it's a good quality for a president. The funny thing was, all I did was I went on a television show and said that I liked Donald Trump, but I didn't think he'd be a good president. And all of a sudden, he started firing out these tweets about how I'm horrible and I'm garbage and my show sucks. And I just thought, wow, has there ever been a politician in history like Abraham Lincoln? Did he ever go 7 years ago, there's this magician that isn't that good? I think someone that heady and that thin-skinned and that volatile is not a good person for president.
And there you go. So,
Yeah. And that's coming from the Business Insider, one of my absolute favorite websites.
oh, you know, with everything that's going on, I've even been watching things like I've been reading a lot of Forbes, Trent.
Dude, yes, Forbes is fantastic. Those sons of bitches make you disable your ad blocker to go onto their website. They make you do it.
Yeah, they do. And that, that's one thing too, as long as we want to switch gears here and talk some technology.
Yes, please.
I gotta say, news sites, please be aware of your audience. And if it's somebody that's viewing your website through a mobile device, like seriously, sit down and try and use your own site as an outsider where you're supposed to get all that pop-up bullshit.
And it's not that hard to do, especially since everyone's using WordPress now.
But come on, man, you are just over inundating me with overpowering ads that are ruining my experience.
Yep.
And making me never want to go back to you. So sit down and please just try and look at your website like we all do and try and really use it. I can only imagine, like my phone a little while ago was considered like top notch, right?
Right.
And even it just gets choked under some of this crap.
Yeah.
That pops up anyway. But it has been interesting seeing the different news venues that I'm getting drawn to with all this stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, mind your ad pop-ups and everything. Will you guys please?
Yeah. Yeah. Come on, guys.
Don't ruin I want to use you. You know what else too that I was never aware of? The Washington Post actually only gives you a certain limit of articles you can look at a month.
Yeah. Well, and then just clear your cookies and go back in.
And that's what I do.
Yep.
Because if there's anything that's real easy around me, it's making sure that the cookies go away.
Cookies, just get those cookies out of there. Yeah.
They just disappear.
Washington Post, notably owned by Californian Jeff Bezos.
Oh, really? Tell me more about this, Trent, that I should know and do not.
So Jeff Bezos, millionaire owner of Amazon. That's I mean, there is that is an avenue for him to I'm just saying Washington Post has some leanings in certain areas because of their ownership.
Okay, and that's Trent.
Yes.
When it comes to truth in journalism, that's very interesting. Because some of the earliest things we can think about would be, for example, the former Hearst Corporation notoriously would run stories in a specific manner to kind of hurt the people that Hearst didn't support. But would write favorably about Hearst and Hearst-related interests.
Yeah.
So obviously, when a company owns a publication, there is going to be a certain sway. For example, Ariana Huffington and the Huffington Post.
Correct. Yes. Which I would even say did better before they sold to Time Warner.
Yeah, I think so.
As far as their transparency went.
But at the same time, every single article they write about that guy that, I'm not sure we should really mention anymore. But at the end of every one of their articles, I think they kind of wear their heart on their sleeve.
Oh, they do. There is no doubt.
At the very bottom of every article, it says that this person is a serial liar, misogynist, such and such. And each one links to cited examples.
Yeah, right.
That lets them get away with such a heinous statement.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things. It's like, okay, but is that really good journalism?
Dude, there's no, it is so hard to find unbiased journalism now because there's no market for it. No one's paying for it. There's like people want to read what they agree with. They don't want to be challenged in how they think. And so you just pander to your audience, and then that's really it. There's if PBS has shown us anything, there is no money to be made in journalistic integrity.
Wow. Damn, Trent, you entered your 30s and you went dark. Trent's just like, the whole fucking world is bought and paid for, dude.
That said, I highly recommend the website Vox, VOX. If I mean, and that's like long form journalism, which is kind of a thing that's dead, where you're getting like a full on 3,000 word expose, which, you know, in nowadays you're lucky if you've got an article that's over 500.
Yeah, because I've tried to read some of their articles.
Too long.
You're like,
it's too long.
Well, you know, there are some sessions where you're sitting there a while, but otherwise, you know, it's like even this is too long for me on this.
Right.
But yeah, that's the other thing too that's been very interesting this week, trying to just discover unbiased news. Yeah. Which just like is really hard. Because like, okay, like last week, I wanted to introduce a concept, and then somebody else said you should do something else. And I think that idea almost sounds better because we're shining a positive light on things, not a negative one.
Yeah.
We were coming up with week of the week, but then this person said that a counterpart, and since the word originated 2 years ago, I think it's just safe that older white guys can freely use the term. We can instead focus on the positive, Trent, and we could do the fleek of the week.
Ooh.
Right?
Which is on fleek, correct?
Yeah.
The popular vernacular.
Yeah, but in this case, we would be repurposing it inappropriately again, because that's what we, the old white guys, do.
Correct.
And we would just say,
if there's one thing old white guys are good at, it's cultural appropriation.
Yes, exactly. But that was what I was thinking. We could do that, and then we could just say like what things were really cool this week.
Okay, yeah,
right.
Yeah.
For me, one of them would be a bit of news that dropped. I found this very interesting because we've all had moments like this. Okay, you've all had you're like, you're going to be going into something big, and you're by yourself, and you just you have a moment. You're like, I need some motivation for this.
Yeah.
This used to happen a lot when I would run. Back in the day when I actually did care about, you know, not my inevitable death.
Yeah. Prolonging the inevitable.
Yeah, back when I actually had an interest in preserving myself somewhat. Yeah. I would do this with music. I would build certain playlists that would hit music at certain timed moments.
Sure.
When I know in my runs that moment is like a challenging one, so some extra motivation. Or, you know, if it's not good enough, it's something I can shuffle past quick, and I know it's on to something even better.
Yeah.
Turns out there was a very powerful speech given at the DNC last week, not this week, that just passed. But in that moment, it was a very noted speech given by none other than, you may have heard of the guy, President Barack Obama.
Oh, once or twice.
Okay, now before you think, okay, well, they're panning Trump. Obviously, this is a Democratic-fueled podcast. Right,
yeah, I mean,
obviously. No, we're just a bunch of fucking idiots. So you're okay. But I find this very cool. Okay, this story is very cool to me. Before going out and giving his big speech at the Democratic National Convention, which basically has to be a down with Trump, up with Hillary kind of speech.
Yeah, to get in line, everyone start supporting her.
One of the greater orators of our age, President Barack Obama, listened to Eminem's "Lose Yourself" before the speech to get himself pumped for that moment. You know what I mean?
Mom, spaghetti. There's no Mekhi Phifer.
Wow.
Was that pretty good? Was that good?
That was wonderful, man. That would actually, you bring up a very good point. A better podcast would have brought the music in at that point. You would have suddenly heard Eminem saying, in this lifetime, you get one shot, or whatever it is he says.
Yeah.
But that's basically the sum of the entire song in one sentence right there.
Yeah.
You get one shot to do something, make a difference, and after that,
spaghetti. His arms are ready.
I just like Mekhi Phifer. Wait, what?
There's no Mekhi Phifer. I just remember that part.
Oh man. Anyway, so like that one would be because that's a very real, just a regular moment. Like, oh, presidents, they're just like us.
Yeah.
So that would be like my fleek of the week moment. But like, what would be yours? You got one, Trent?
Yeah, I got one. And I know this isn't. It's on fleek because, for me at least, just because I found it for the first time, and independent. So independent of political leanings. Your thoughts on the left, the right, President Obama, etc. I don't know if you've seen it. It is a short. It's a 4-minute YouTube video. I'm going to throw it up on the NetHeads Tumblr, which also goes to Twitter. So use the hashtag NetHeads. You can find it. But it's about the Obamas and President Obama being a lame duck, right? And it's called Couch Commander. And it's Obama just kind of figuring out, what am I going to do now? Like that I'm not really doing anything. What can I do? And it's so great because they reached across partisan lines. John Boehner is in it, and it's like really, really funny. There's one point where John Boehner's like, "Come on, no one's around here," and he hands him a cigarette. And Obama looks at it, and his eyes look so like, "Oh my God, I would suck your dick for that right now."
Oh wow.
Anyway, it is so well done. It is so funny, and it made me realize how independent of policy, independent of everything that he's done or he hasn't done or that we didn't like that he did or anything along those lines, Obama's funny and he's charismatic as hell, and I am going to miss that as a president because our options are the antithesis of charismatic.
Yeah, I think, and it doesn't, cross party lines, libertarian, Green Party, all around, folks. It's a lot of dire faces.
Yeah, we're like especially even if you look at like the candidates from the last election, they even they were more charismatic, more likable even than our current options. So regardless of whoever you like, just know that like it's gonna be kind of a boring, less fun presidency, I think.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I think so. Well, yeah, because we're going to lose. If there's any one thing that I could say that this administration definitely played into, it was the working of social media and the hipper venues, if you will, to try and get its messages out, whether it was,
for sure. Yeah.
Registering for healthcare or getting out in election years to vote. They've definitely done that. And actually, even in regular press conferences as well, Obama had his, Jesus, this is not a political podcast. What's going on? But anyway, I found this a very dignified moment where he was talking about something else. And it was in relation, it was his press conference before going on summer vacation, basically. And stuff came up about the 400 million, and then like the only thing that was omitted was that it was in cash. We told you all about this, so that was interesting to see itself play out. But during the question and answer portion of the press conference, eventually Obama just basically said, "Look, in relation to every Trump question you're going to ask me, I just want to say that it's up to the voting public to make up their minds on who they feel is the best candidate to, like trust with nuclear codes," or whatever it is he said. Because clearly the press was looking for a trumping, if you will.
Right, yeah.
And so he just finally said that, basically, because there's only so many times you can kick or hit a horse, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Hit a dead horse, beat a dead horse, whatever it is. Yeah, either way, it's just a horrible term. Why do we still use it in vernacular?
Because sometimes you got to beat that horse.
You just got to beat the dead horse. Okay.
Yeah, you want to get it to move. Maybe there's a little ounce of life in it left. You just
maybe it's only mostly dead.
Yeah,
maybe it's just mostly dead.
Dead yet?
I was the other night, just last night, as a matter of fact, I was my wife and my eldest went to go see Ghostbusters.
Oh, nice.
So I stayed home with the youngest, and interestingly enough, shortly after they left, Blair fell asleep. So basically, I had like a 2-hour. I don't want to say a vacation.
Just dad time, just solo dad time.
Not really. I still was trying to put something on to get Blair's interest when she was going to sleep. So there would be noise in the background, and I ended up putting on The Princess Bride.
Oh, nice, dude. Nice.
But I voluntarily chose it, and I gotta say, that movie did amazingly well. Looking at it now, I think they did a really good job with what I consider to probably be a very limited budget.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because you look at it, and there are just certain set pieces that they have to reuse, and there's creative angles. For example, when the king is addressing the entire kingdom, allegedly, it's really just a tight balcony scene with a blue background.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I mean, this is just a few steps away from the magical kingdom of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Yeah.
But they did amazingly well with a really low budget on that movie. And I forgot just how fun of a tale it is as it's being told.
Man, it really is.
And it to this day, I think it holds up well.
Yeah. Interesting. Wrestling side note. So Andre the Giant, when he was in there, he was at a point in his life where even just a walk was very painful for him. And so there's the scene where what's her name? Wright? Is it Amanda Wright? I forget. Robin Wright. Thank you. Where she drops into his arms, and his body was so weak at that point that she had to be lowered in a harness and then suspended as he held her, because his bones were being crushed under his own weight.
Oh man,
kind of. It's just an interesting, you would never think that of Andre the Giant, right? This giant, literally, of a man, who was just in 24/7 pain.
Well, if you even a more modern reference to that, if you ever watched, and this isn't even that modern because we're going back to the 90s.
Yeah.
But one of my, yes, I'm going to say these words out loud. One of my favorite Adam Sandler films.
Hey, there were a few.
Is Happy Gilmore.
Absolutely.
And in that was the actor who played Jaws in the Bond films. And by the time you got to the 90s, I believe that movie was in the 90s.
Yeah.
You got to the 90s, the guy that played Jaws, who was a very large, tall man.
Yeah.
Probably had a bit of the same syndrome that Andre the Giant did.
He did, yes, correct.
And he was visibly discomforted in moving. You could tell that dude's legs hurt him.
Yeah, and they used a golf club as a cane for him to get away with a little bit of how he moved on set.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so glad we could bring everything down with that. I was trying to say how much fun The Princess Bride is.
And again, that's one of those things where, like, with a low budget, I mean, we're only here because of a film with a low budget that just had impeccable writing can really do great things.
Yeah, exactly. And just it's a great tale too.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's a movie I can enjoy and my teenage daughter can still enjoy as well. Yeah. Together, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing that I've heard, at least from everyone that has been on Fleek, but as a cable cutter, I have not been able to experience any of it. The Olympics.
Oh, really? You know, Trent, I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Mind you, I will remind you that
okay, go ahead.
when I was a teenager, my father walked into the room and asked if I was watching the World Series, and when I said no, he told me I was a communist.
Well, I don't know if he was wrong, but
But
how happy would he be to see you such a Giants fan now?
There you go. Probably a little anyway. So the thing is, I'm not really into the sports, and there were many times because my parents were divorced. There were many times where I was visiting my dad during the Olympic seasons.
Yeah,
like once every 4 years, I think it was.
Anyway. Right? Yeah. You just knew Olympic Strong gonna be at Dad's house.
Just state and I'll tell you, that's what was on, man. They were really. I'm not going to lie. My dad and my stepmom really seemed to be into it, or my dad really was, and she just wasn't going to go for the remote. I don't know.
Sure, yeah.
But I've never really been into them. I don't know why.
Oh man, I get freaking suckered into it.
Well, you know who else does as well? I thought this was an adorable little tale. Leslie Jones, who in the past 2 weeks has had a rough go. I mean,
Leslie Jones of my sweet little white Colin
Jost.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah.
On SNL.
Leslie Jones, who admitted she ain't afraid of no Jost.
Did she really say that?
Oh yes, my friend.
Oh shit, that's funny.
I
That's
think that
funny.
was on the first weekend update when they came back.
Nice.
Yeah, she got a lot of unnecessary, extremely hateful, racist bullshit on Twitter.
Yeah, because people are assholes.
She was going to go away, but now she has come back, and apparently, Leslie loves the Olympics, Trent.
Really?
She loves it so much that she's been adorned in American flag attire. She's got a flag draped over her shoulders, and she's got a hat saying "Go USA."
Hell yeah!
Well, she's also been tweeting, so she's like cheering for when we get the goal.
She's like sitting down, live tweeting, like, "Oh my god, did you just see that?" Blah blah blah.
Well, get this: one of the guys in the news division for sports saw it, and I don't know if he was serious, but he extended an invitation for her to come down and do coverage. Could you imagine?
Oh my! Like so. Can you imagine like Ross the intern style version of Leslie Jones walking around Brazil?
You know, I've got to say there are certain things that have made very interesting times for Olympic coverage. One of them, I don't know if you remember, Trent, but there were a few times where David Letterman sent his elderly mother out to do like Olympic coverage.
Totally. I do remember that. Yeah.
So I would totally get behind the synergy of NBC Sports getting behind bringing in somebody from the comedy/news area with Leslie Jones.
It makes so much sense.
Yeah. I mean, bring her in and have some fun with it.
Yeah.
You know, because that's one of the things that we miss with some of the, like when I was growing up, when I was actually engaged in my dad watching sports, it was because you had commentators, and we're gonna forget anything they may have said later on, but at the time, in the powerful moments, Howard Cosell was a formidable voice.
Oh yeah,
in sports broadcasting and the like. You know, you miss kind of those moments where they brought their own character to it. You know, other commentators now, they all sound the same.
Yeah. Well, and another thing that I've found is like not a lot of commentary on what's actually going on.
Yeah, but Leslie has been tipping us off.
Gosh. So, yeah. I mean, maybe that will be my my avenue then, as I don't get the NBC television, I can just follow her more closely.
Well, that could be it, or maybe they'll start pushing her little bits through Hulu, and you might be able to pick them up there.
That would be good. Yes. Oh, I should look and see what the Hulu's got for Olympic coverage.
You know, that's one of the things we should almost maybe focus one episode around, Trent, because you are a cable cutter, and I think it would be interesting to get your take on cutting your cable and you know what you've done in that post cable cutter world.
Yeah, well, I mean, and this isn't to pat myself on the back and cut my own balls, but it's more difficult than I thought, just because I have a somewhat strong moral conviction of supporting people of content that I like. Do you know what I mean? So I try not to torrent as much as I can, because I want to let people know through my dollars that I appreciate what they do. And that's not a bad idea. That would be really good. We should do that sometime.
You know, the other thing too that I find interesting, because for example, one of the big shows on right now. So as a cable cutter, do you have the Netflix?
Yes, yeah, I've got the Netflix.
Okay, so I've got to ask you, Trent. I'm going to ask you a very serious question.
Oh, shit.
Because I just kind of like finally stumbled into something. It was kind of like, okay, I've heard about it. It's time. I got to look at this. I got to see what it's talking about. What are we... Netflix original series by the Duffer Brothers, Stranger Things.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Have you watched any of this?
Not yet. It is on in my queue currently.
I don't know whatever the fuck is in your queue ahead of it, Trent. Shift it down.
Well, so I mean, just right, and this is I've just needed something on in the background because I've been working in my spare time, so I can't, and it's something that I want to pay full attention to. So that's why I haven't watched it yet, because I really do want to watch it.
Well, and that's one of the things that should have tipped me off early on, that this was one of those shows, because it actually, and until you see the show, you don't get it. It actually incorporated became incorporated as memes that I've seen. Without going into any detail, there's a certain point where there's a wall with Christmas lights and the alphabet, and the lights can blink to correspond to a letter and convey a message, right?
Yes.
That I've seen as a meme this week, where the letters are spelling out "fuck Trump." I'm just saying that until you see the show, you don't understand the meaning or why the meme is even funnier.
Right.
So I gotta say though, man, I didn't know what to expect, yet somehow I got exactly what I expected.
Really?
Yeah, but I mean that in the best of ways.
Okay.
It was just don't be fooled. They're claiming it's a series, right?
Uh-huh.
And binging wise, I got to tell you, this is a great news one, because there's, I believe, only 8 episodes.
Oh no, that's not a great one. When I binge, I want 10 seasons of bingeness.
No, I understand. I'm under. You want to be like however many years from it is now, where it's Stranger Things, the complete series.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, it was just an absolute delight. It hooks you in from the very beginning, and it's not 8 episodes, Trent. It's basically 8 different segments of this very long movie. And it tells a tale amazingly well. And if there's any one thing I gotta say about the way this is written and the way that this is created, first of all, it's a love letter to the 80s. So, like, even you can tap into some nostalgia as your preteen years.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like reliving the E.T. era all over again.
Yes. Yeah.
But the other thing about it that is just amazing from a writing standpoint is that they always offer up just enough of the story to compel you to move on.
To keep on going.
Yes, exactly. They dole it out in just the right fashion.
From what I've read and from whom, all the people I've heard talk about it, it sounds a lot like a more modern, serious in like production value and delivery, and adult version of one of my favorite shows growing up as a kid, by Joe Dante, which was Erie, Indiana.
Oh wow, I forgot all about that one.
It's on Amazon Prime if you ever want to go back and relive it. But it at least, and again, I haven't watched it, but that's kind of the premise. It's like a long Goonies almost.
Yeah, I think the best way to think of it is all of the Amblin Entertainment products of the time.
Okay, yeah.
If those collided with the Chris Nolan universe.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of what you get out of this.
Okay.
Because, I never saw a Steven Spielberg movie outside of one of the World War II epics where a mother trucker gets shot in the head. You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah. Yeah.
And this has those darker moments. I mean, not everybody makes it out alive.
Vulture did an awesome, I'm gonna, again, I'll tweet this one out right now, an awesome article, kind of taking the example of Ghostbusters, which we were just talking about, and Stranger Things, and throwing them up there and showing how one did very well with 0 advanced hype, right, and one kind of got caught up in its own advanced hype to where it almost hurt itself, right. Anyway, it's really interesting article, worth checking out, and it's on the Twitters right now using the hashtag NetHeads. But yeah, this is a show that has they didn't really start advertising or hyping it until after the critics had came out and said this is fucking awesome.
Yeah, and I gotta say, if you've already put money into the production of something, then I think that's actually a smart way to go, because you got the critics on your side,
Yeah.
and you've got the public looking where you want them to look now.
But you have to trust, like it's a catch-22 though, right? Because you have to trust the content and trust the viewership to connect with it in a way that you don't have to inundate it with pre-advertising.
Yeah, but this one is definitely playing from word of mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, it's having cultural impact. Like I said, it's made its way into memes, and there are fans doing fan-inspired art around it, and and I gotta say, it's amazing that somebody actually decided to make it.
Right.
Because it really is one of those unique ideas, because it's not like it being in the 80s in any way serves the story at all. It's just one of those aspects, but at the same time, there are certain elements that can happen in this story that just wouldn't happen in this day and age, because technology is different.
Yeah, I was just gonna say technology, culture. I'm assuming like you go back and watch any of those films that we love so much. Last winter I watched E.T. with my nephew, and I was blown away at just thinking for myself, like, that we all got around on BMX bicycles. Our parents never knew where we were, and it was no big deal.
Exactly. And
it was fine.
It was even the same in my era. We would literally, it's like, okay, it's around 10 a.m. I've had my breakfast. I'm ready to gear up, get on my bike, and go out and find out what the day's adventure holds.
Yeah, we're gonna go to all the gas stations and find the best arcade.
There's going to be some time spent just inside of a 7-Eleven playing video games.
Yep, Final Fight, man, cleared the whole thing.
Oh man, Super Contra.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, but that was a different time. Now my kids are practically under house arrest. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I do. Yeah,
but it really is. It's a different age. Like I'm blown away when my sister-in-law will consider. She's just like 5 blocks away. Less as the crow flies. I mean, the only reason why the kids don't have a straight shot to my house is because of a wash or a creek.
I was gonna say like a fence or something.
Yeah, there's a crick in the way, Trent.
Yeah, well, I like crick. Yeah, that's
but
how
I'm still blown away at the concept of just trusting them to get from point A to point B.
Yeah.
In this day and age, but it's true. Like I would disappear. You'd come back around 1 o'clock for lunch. And then around 2 o'clock, you head back out until the street lights come on.
Yep. Yeah.
Or in your case, probably sundown, because they didn't want you being chased by the coyotes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, dude, I can remember being at a friend's house. The sun had gone down. I needed to get home, and so a parent would come and then drive behind me on the way home so that their lights would illuminate my way to ride my bike back to the house.
Because otherwise it was just dark as shit.
Yeah, like, because otherwise Mike would have to stay there and I need my bike for the next morning.
Oh man. Oofa. But that doesn't happen now. But this is true. Like it was a different time, and kids would you weren't worried when kids would be down in the basement for hours on end.
Yep. Yeah. Which, oh man, while we're talking about this, there is a comic book series. The first volume, the second volume may be out already right now, that plays perfectly into this same idea, right? Of like preteen teen adventurers during the 80s, called Paper Girls, that I cannot recommend enough. If you can get it, do it. If you're a fan of the Goonies or from what it sounds like, Stranger Things, this book is going to be right up your alley.
That was the other interesting thing that they did, as well, is that they, at the beginning of the story, you have kind of all of these different story paths that set up, and they did a wonderful job of combining those elements at just the right time as the story went on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like there have been so many instances that different players are kind of catching different sides of the same story, and then they all come together at just the right time.
Oh, yeah, I am. I'm excited. Once I get done with this major project, so it'll be the second week in September. But at that point, man, I'm going to dive in head first.
Okay, fair enough. We'll let you slide until then, and I think we've talked it up enough, really. I mean, come on already. How much can you just talk about television?
Well, a lot.
You'd be amazed. You would definitely be amazed. Is there anything else we wanted to talk about this week? Well, actually, one thing that's interesting, and I love this.
Yeah.
Because I mean, okay, I'm going to tell you, it's a wonderful and amazing opportunity either way. But let's say for some reason something comes up, I'm still able to do this even without traveling.
Okay.
And for those that don't know, in my 9 to 5, I also now work from home. So I'm slowly becoming agoraphobic. And
I just don't want to go outside.
Unfortunately, this plays right into it as well, because at the Salt Lake Comic-Con this year, Saturday, September 3rd, 2016, from 12 to 1.
Yes.
What is it, Trent? And who does it include according to the official schedule?
Yeah, so if you do go to the official panel scheduling, which is in beta form right now, that they're still tweaking some things, but as of right now, there will be a live taping of NetHeads featuring the comic book men, minus Walt.
So naturally, because this trip involves a plane,
because you can't drive there.
So well, he could, but who wants to spend that kind of time?
I mean, he's got shit to do. He doesn't want to spend a week driving to a con.
Right, exactly. So this is exciting, but the thing that I love, that Trent has reiterated time and time again, is that if you can't make it out, we can still do video, which is both appealing, but if Brian Johnson does actually show up to this panel, I can only imagine the ridicule that my only existence on the panel is in a video box of some type.
Is in a small screen, or well, it would be projected onto the screen, but yeah.
Well, that's what you would hope, but if it's anywhere within, I mean, I'm not saying he's a bad guy. He's a wonderful guy, and he's always treated us.
He's the best.
Okay, hold on, Trump. Back off a little, buddy.
He is brilliant. He's got such a high IQ. I feel bad for everyone who doesn't have an IQ as high as Brian Johnson. It's not your fault. He's just much smarter than you.
Wow, that was terrifying. How amazing. You just tapped into it right there. Anyway, no, I could just imagine, though, if it's within his reach and it was a laptop, just shutting the lid. Fuck that guy.
Fuck Wilkins, slam.
Pretty much. But yeah, it all depends on how it times out. Airfare I can have covered by Southwest Miles. I've already got in there.
Yes.
My only thing is that if I were to go out, it would probably have to be a same day affair if possible.
Right, yeah, like a down and back type deal.
Yeah, where the only thing I have to worry about is paying for my parking at the well, but I still got to get from the airport to the con too.
Do an Uber.
Oh, I could just do an Uber.
Do an Uber.
Do an Uber.
Yeah.
Why are we talking like that?
I don't know. It just felt right.
Anyway, so I'm gonna try my hardest to get out there. But I have to have conversations with my wife, and but that's
plan things out.
At this point, it's the intent.
Yeah.
I guess that's the best way to put it. But I'm looking forward to it, especially with those guys that being there. We might actually have what's that thing called? Attendance.
Well, and I'm tip of the hat to the programmers Blake and Ryan, because that is a prime time. You know what I mean? Like that's lunchtime. That's everyone's had their first go around. If you're only there for one day and you want to sit down for a little bit, and you want to avoid the cluster mess of people on the floor, you go to a panel. I see no problem with that.
Yeah, that was the thing I wanted to talk to you about, that I was kind of shocked. I was concerned that maybe some favors had been exchanged or something, because
don't worry about that.
I'm just saying somehow this crappy little podcast with very little following in the area has this wonderful, I'm just saying something's weird there.
Don't worry about it, Will.
All right, I didn't say nothing.
As of the very few exchanges I've ever had with Kevin Smith, I will say to you, as I said to him, don't worry about it.
Fair enough. I know nothing. But it sounds cool. And plus, I think when it comes to like comic book conventions, really that's the best type of exposure possible. It's just like get in early, one day at it, and then go back home and get free of any of the weird nonsense that can occur.
Yep. No, I totally agree. That's the way to do it.
Because, there's nothing wrong with the convention floor, and that area is fine. It's whatever goes on in the hotels after hours. That's where I hear shit just gets
Yeah. It gets weird. Shit gets weird.
That's what I'm saying. I just, actually, one funny thing that happened, I don't think it was this, or it might have been this year, or it may have been last year now at this point. But it was just funny as crap because I was running materials from one person's room to another in Sacramento where a Sacramento Comic-Con was happening. So I was getting things from point A to point B. And all I'm thinking about is the job at hand, right?
Right.
Okay, I got to get this from point A to point B. I got to go to the elevator. I got to go down 2 floors. I get it. I come back. I go up 2 floors. I'm done.
Yeah.
And I don't remember which leg of the trip it was on, but I suddenly looked up to realize that I was in the elevator with Norman Reedus.
Holy shit.
Yeah, who's Daryl on The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
And just look up, and it's just one of those things. It's like, oh, and it's like, hey, man.
Hey,
it's like,
you made it
hey.
work.
And he's like, hey. And that was the exchange. Hey, man. Within those 2 words, I attempted to convey, hey, hell of a job, great show, always seem to like what you do on it.
Yeah.
Just conveyed in, hey, man. But what else are you going to do at that moment? You're
So what I'm doing now, right? So this is my new thing, right? Is I have a moleskin book that's very small, fits in a pocket almost, or at least the bag that I've always got with me, and I've got a pen with a rubber band around it, so that if I ever do run into someone, instead of asking for a selfie, I ask for their autograph.
That is so genius and messed up.
Because I feel like that's a dead thing. People don't like collect autographs, right? It's kind of I don't know. It's like a big homage almost. It's like a big I don't know. If someone were to ask for my autograph, I'd be like, why the fuck? I am of no one important. Why would you want my autograph?
But you know what else that's really cool about it too, if you think about it, Trent, for anybody of that like in the selfie generation, their image almost becomes intangible,
right?
In a way.
Yeah.
Whereas, like an autograph, that's an actual, tangible, real thing.
You can. Yeah, that's just not like in the ether somewhere.
I'm telling you right now, somewhere, Trent, in the cookbooks in my kitchen, I haven't hunted it out in a while, but on there is a signature, a signed napkin from, I think, I can't remember the name of the chain. It's in Calabasas and a few other I think it's Islands is the name of it, and it was at the Islands in Calabasas.
Okay.
For my wife, I got a napkin. One of the few times I've asked for an autograph of Nick Lachey and Jessica Simpson. So at the time they were still married, and
on the TV show and everything. Yeah, totally. They were America's sweethearts, man.
Right, but I mean, like, because what else at that time? What else was I going to ask for? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Smartphones weren't smart then, and I could have probably taken a crappy BlackBerry picture at the time, but that was basically like trying to take a picture of with a Kodak camera, for God's sakes.
Right.
It's not instantaneous and doesn't feel very rewarding when you finally see the end product.
Right.
So that's I actually tip my hat to you. That's kind of brilliant, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a lot more intimate, if you will, as well.
Well, and it's I just barely started doing it, and I did it I'm trying to think. The first time I busted it out was at a WWE show here in Salt Lake. And like it actually got me into more places than if I walked up like with my phone out. If I walked up with this book and a pen, and then people would actually just walk over to me and sign it, as opposed to the people who were asking for selfies.
The other thing, well, because it's unique and it's moment taking. It's like, whoa, that's different.
Yeah,
and not to mention too, it's one of those things where they can give it to you and they know it's not going to show up on TMZ later and fuck them in the ass because they don't know what's going on behind them in the phone.
Exactly. They don't, or if they do a video, they don't have to be in character or something along those lines. You know what I mean? It's just like, I'll do whatever, kid. Give me that, kid. Yeah, what is it for your nephew's dying of leukemia or something? Yeah, that's who it's for.
Dude, what's amazing when you go to any type of event and you're around the people that things would get signed, I gotta say, I'm just in some ways I'm impressed, by the people that just have the balls to run up with a box of like 6
dude.
items in them.
That always fucking blows my mind.
In a way, I'm just kind of like, wow, man, okay, you
Yeah.
did it, bro. But at the same time, I'm like, you got to have some sack to pull that off.
So in kind of doing the planning of panels and stuff for this year at Salt Lake Comic-Con, we're doing a something. I suggested that we do a panel on how to appropriately interact with artists at a Comic-Con, and it's called the Adventures. No, what's it called? Horrors of Artist Alley. And so it'll basically be me talking to comic book artists, and we'll be talking about what are some of the and right now we haven't, we're still developing things, but right now it's basically going to be like a Q&A with me and the current Harley Quinn artist Chad Hardin about like what are some of the craziest things that you've had to deal with going around to cons.
Holy Lord.
As fans, and especially for Chad Hardin, I can only imagine all the photos, and he reposts a lot of them, but of just inappropriate Harley Quinns.
Oh my! And just can you imagine too? It's like, okay, I don't want to be a jerk, but honestly, honey, I don't think that outfit is age appropriate. I really don't want to be in a picture with you. But how are you going to say no? Yeah.
So anyway, I'm really excited for it. I think that one's going to be really fun. Both informative for fans, so that like if you're not aware of like, oh crap, that's not acceptable. Shoot, I do that all the time. Okay, but also just really funny too.
One of the things I think we also need to be a little upfront about too is just because the con has added us to the schedule of the comic book men.
Yes.
We don't like have a solid confirmation any one of them will show.
Yeah.
They're just going to get a schedule, and it's going to be printed, and they're going to get it, and then they'll evaluate whether it's worth their time to go or not.
I'll at least say this. I'll bet Ming shows up.
Wow, you're really willing to take that risk, buddy? Put that chip on black, huh?
Well, I'm just saying it's another rung on the another tally on the Internet's podcast database.
that's him, man.
Think of the acronym there, yeah.
The Internet Podcast, the IPDB.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. The IPDB.
Man, shit. I know what domain I'm looking for after I get off of this.
What?
I'm sorry?
I don't know. Anyway, so that's about it, folks. Little self-aggrandizing near the end there, but whatever. Somebody's got to do it sometime.
Yeah.
It's got to be something to keep us going.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so.
Want to thank everybody actually for taking the time, listening, tuning in, all that jazz. If you can, hey, whatever services, give us a 5-star review, however you listen. Tell your friends about NetHeads. Come on, spread the word.
Yeah.
We want to be in more people's ears. And most importantly, please, God, if you know anyone in the Salt Lake area that's going to be going to the Comic-Con,
come hang out.
Please make sure they know there's a comfortable place to quietly sit from 12 to 1. We're not even going to ban food. I swear to God, if I can get it catered, I'll try. What do you call catered? Well, we got a bowl of chips over there.
Right. Yeah.
Well, we can at least guarantee a bowl of chips, apparently.
Yeah.
No, that's not guaranteed as well.
No.
Come on, we're on a budget, people. I'm talking about using free miles and getting the hell out of Dodge quick. Clearly, I don't have anything to burn. And Trent's doesn't have anything to burn. We're burnless.
Yeah. It's true. I guess you could say we're burned out.
That would have been a great follow-up show for what was it? Burn Notice.
Yes,
on USA,
would
just be burnless, which would be like everything that happens afterwards. So the world's now boring.
It's just nothing going on.
Yeah, just burnless. That's us. But yeah, we're definitely burned out. Time to go. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Until next time, my name is Will.
And I'm Trent.
And you've been listening to another edition of NetHeads. One fun free place. Where is that, Trent?
Smodcast.com.
This is NetHeads with Will Wilkins and Trent Hunsaker. Signing off. I know, right? But stop being a little Nancy and deal with it. NetHeads. We'll be back soon.
Goodbye. This has been a production of Smodco Internet Radio. Sir, only at smodcast.com.
I hope everybody enjoys watching you dance more now.
Dude, the offbeats on the Smod theme where it's like going, that's my favorite part. I just realized I fucking love that so much.
Wow, I didn't expect you to get so damn passionate about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I just realized why I like it so much, and I think that's it.
Well, right on, man. I support you in that. You know, one of the things too.
Fan of the offbeats.
One of the thing I forgot. No wonder we're friends.
Yeah. Well, it's also why I like ska.
Exactly. Well, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, two-tone, man.
And I make no sense. You know, one of the things I forgot that I wanted to bring up on the show, because amazingly enough, somehow earlier today when I was taking a shower, I was thinking about the show.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you were thinking about me.
No, I was thinking about the podcast. And I was thinking so in depth, I actually shaved my entire head on autopilot. Like
really?
I was thinking so deeply about the topics I wanted to discuss that I actually just like even that annoying
with no
area,
nicks, nothing.
No nicks, and even that annoying area under the nose or that rough area.
Where the snot trough is.
Yeah, you know that whole everything around the nostrils is a pain in the. Listen to us complain. We don't have to deal with menstruation, but let me tell you,
shaving's the worst. I don't know. I don't do it.
You don't do it. That's why I even said I don't know if you remember, Trent, but the mustache area so difficult. You know what? Whatever I was going to talk about, never mind. Let's get out of here.